Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody. Not looking at a whole hell of a lot much after yesterday's giant sell-off. Oops, sorry about that. Yesterday's sell-off, when I left for work, came in hot and heavy. So we're going to look to see what kind of day we're going to have here on a Friday. Non-farm Friday came in. The number came in a bit hot, right? So we are here. I'm going to refresh it so it just goes to today. The number came in pretty hot. This is not it. Friday. There we go. Friday. Whoa, whoa, whoa. What a mess. There we are. We're at the top of the screen. Non-farm payrolls expected was 200,000 and actual was 303,000. That initial move came down, spiked to the downside, as you can see right here. That was a nice little spike, but it only spiked right to the overnight low, and then rebounded right back up into that 172.50 level, which is now rotating back down below. But we're really sitting on VWAP. We're sitting right in the middle of the range from. The unemployment actually ticked down as well. So it was forecasted 3.9. Last time it was 3.9. Consensus 3.9. We ticked down to 3.8% on unemployment. So the numbers came in also kind of supporting the fact of no rate cuts. So if we kind of price in this here now with our little price in tool, this right here is non-farm payroll. So NFP beats 303 over, what was the number? 303 over 200. Okay. Right? So now we have that priced in there. What we have, if we go back to some of our pricing in, these were the overnight high, opening range, price in rejections, right? The first number that we started to just talk about this week was the PMI number came in at 51.4 as opposed to 52.4, which is a surprise lightening of inflation numbers, right? So that inflation number came in lighter than anticipated by a whole point, boosted us to the upside from the bottom of this channel, right? Rotated back to the high of this channel. We kind of based out, waiting for that jobless claim yesterday. Got it. Came in. Jobs more than anticipated, right? So more people on the private sector side came in with unemployment rates and whatnot. So that boosted another, potential rate cut coming in. We're going to pop to the top. When that ends up happening is we run into some resistance here at my key level of 15,531, and within that range up to 550. That was the previous day's overnight highs, right, in that range there as well. So we were talking about shorting it there. That's where we got our short on the day yesterday, early in the morning in the session. Then we came back in, right back up to that level. I don't think we quite made it through the high. We got either equal highs, pretty much equal highs right there. We had a little bit of a divergence, and we started to sell off. Once we started to flush, the selling never stopped. You could see that. Once the selling came in here at 12 o'clock for the next, from 12 to 3, immediate, straight down price action. It went from let's call it 531 down to 18,056. So, well, we'll call it 68 because that was the high, right? So that's a lot of points, 500 points. That's a big ass move. That's a nice correction. Today, I can see if people will be looking for a breakdown below 18,000. I think if we do crack 18,000, you got to watch it and see if it'll hold. 18,000 down into, pretty much 18,000. If we do rotate down below at 17,829, would be that next level of support. Do I believe we get there today? I'm not certain about that. Could be just a nice rest type day, especially with the non-farms coming in slightly, well, not slightly hotter, 103,000 more than anticipated, right? So if we do have that higher than anticipated number, gives you a little hesitation on rate cuts coming in. Is the non-farm weighted more than the jobless claims or the PMI number? It's all about inflation, right? So if it's all about inflation and that's coming in and that's coming in a whole point lighter, this non-farm number coming in hot shows the Fed that there is still a strong government jobs market out there. So there's not necessarily reason to fear any sort of cut coming in and disrupting anything, but also at the same time, it also shows that the economy is still showing some strength despite that deflationary number and the jobless claims number yesterday. So it's just an interesting dynamic to watch to see what they're going to do. We can't control it. We can't control price action. We can't control anything, especially as intraday traders. We're out here looking to take advantage of opportunities day in and day out, and we're going to stick to our normal strategy, right? NVIDIA melted down into this 863 level here. We run through the Mag 7 names before the open. We'll see what we can get to look at, right? You got NVIDIA, big run down, based out. Now we're looking to maybe possibly gap up in above yesterday's close, hold this 863 level, and maybe rotate back up. Anything that breaks down below yesterday's low has downside down to 850. I think 850 is going to have a hard time being cracked. If it does, 833 is the furthest it'll go today, I'm going to guess. I don't expect Friday to have a ton of movement, but hey, who knows on the open. Apple also rotating onto the lows. We recovered up into that 171 yesterday and then sold off when the big sell happened, but didn't really flush that old low here at 168.98, 169. So we are holding above 169. Breakdown of 168.98, 168.78, which is the post-market low yesterday, pushes you down into lows from a few days ago here at 168.50 and then 168.26 for the day. Break above, I don't think you get back above 171.83 on Apple. Microsoft, same deal, 419 here is support. We've just kind of been rotating between these two zones for a little bit, right? You can see this. It hasn't really broken out of that, but it's just kind of been sitting up here between, let's call it 420 and 428. Breakdown obviously gets down into that 412 area probably is that major area that we had as resistance. So we'll see what happens. The market's now open. We're going to go back to our main screen, see what we got going on here. With our plan for the day, we're up for the week. We've been green every day so far this week. Yesterday we were up $24, but we went red from red to green due to a mistake. Today we're going to ensure that we make our checks here. We are showing that we are on the funded account, so any trades we do take is going to actually be on the funded account, and then we're not going to chase or anything like that. I'm going to watch the 172 level up into that 208. We are holding below. This is the overnight high here, that 190, and then the NFP low here is the low at 18,051. So these are the levels I watch every single day: overnight highs, overnight lows, previous day lows, and previous day high is obviously 500 points away to the upside. So that I'm not going to be probably using it all today. And then also on this move down, there was no real resistance. There was a couple levels here at 281 and then right here at 208 where there was a little bit of like pullback and then run right back down to it. So until we reached down here at this low where we slowed ourselves down and flattened out, it's kind of where we're at. We are just still doing not a lot of anything. This was the non-farm dump, settle, dumped off, came back right back to where it was, and then we sat right along the same line. So I don't think the market's ready to make any sort of major decision as of yet. Break above the overnight high. That 200 level is going to act as some resistance. So I'm going to be cautious on longs until it holds above 200. And then that obviously that 240 liquidity zone there that I have drawn up from prior that I'm interested in up here. So anything up over 200, 208, obviously that 208 has been important. So there's, that wick off. I'm going to watch that. So the overnight high has to fail probably 200 and then rotate back down for me to think short through that overnight high. So I want to see some sort of divergence there. 81% long right now on the tilt. So be mindful of the short coming in. Microsoft rolling some. Sitting at 419.48. Looking to crack through that 419.27, which it did. NVIDIA popping. Apple rolling. All right. Yeah, like I said, 18,172. That was a key level for me. That area, 172.50, down into kind of right where we're at now, 152. 140. I wouldn't be like terribly surprised if we do recover a lot of yesterday's move. We are sitting below the 23.6 line here on the big push downside. If we kind of consolidate a little bit during the day and then pop above the 172 mark, up to 277, even up into 18,300 is a 50% retracement from this big push down yesterday. So just using some fibs on these extended moves like that does help out. And then the extension to the downside would be, let me see, I got to redo that. I messed it up. Fib extension to lows would be down into 17, that 830, even lower, down into 17,730 for that 61.8 extension through the low of our consolidation here. But yeah, right now nothing's interesting me, right? My normal strategy calls for extensions away from VWAP, especially on open. We're not opening near an overnight high or an overnight low. We're right dead center of the range that we were in all night, right? Right here, we gapped up after that close, and we've just been in this tight chop. And you can see still, even that NFP number didn't really move the needle in any direction because we came down. We went right to the overnight low, which was right here. It really just wicked it by one tick. I think it was one tick lower, and then rotated right back up. Tried to make a new rally, failed that. Now back down on VWAP. So really no good information coming right now as far as price action is concerned. I'm going to be mindful of the overnight low. If it does crack and break, then we're going to watch the 18,000 level, see what happens there. I'm not looking to chase the short down there, but I am going to be mindful of it. If it does fail, give me a good rotation to rotate back to VWAP. If it's going to stay range bound on a Friday after this huge move down yesterday and a big NFP beat, the non-farm comes in with 100,000 beat, but you only get a slight wiki move, and then it's almost this is one of those algo moves where there was not really a lot of decision because pricing in two good rate cut informations this week, and then NFP comes in and cancels that out. So and then yesterday that big move down was potentially caused by one of the Fed speakers coming in and saying that rate cuts might not even come. So, which I don't think is the case. I don't think that's really what caused that selling. I think it just came into a zone where there's a seller and people just kind of kept banging into it. That guy's not even a voting member, so I don't know why he would even move the needle in any sense of the way. He's basically just like somebody who's there. He's a member of the Fed but doesn't have any say in the matter. So we're not even seeing a lot of size on the time of sales. I have my thing set to a minimum of 5. And since the open, we've only really started to see 5s and 7s. Now you're starting to see some 14s on the bid. Nothing crazy. Usually you see that this whole time in sales start to fill up here. You could see it just over my head. You'd see it with some larger size. You haven't seen many bigger sized orders coming in here because I don't think many players are coming in on this Friday right here on the open to get any positioning done. Especially after yesterday's large move, it's kind of wait, see, is it going to start to recover? If it does start to recover, right, that's when you might start to see more buying come in because that's people just banging out of their shorts. that maybe held them overnight to see if we get another leg down today after that, like I said, after that NFP number. So I'd be cautious within this range here, anywhere between the overnight high and overnight low. It's a tight range. So it's not like anything that's worth looking. VWAP's flat, price action's flat. You're in some chop. Stay out of it if you can. And then if you really want to make some moves, really define your strategy, define what you want to see happen, and then go from there. Because for us, we're potentially seeing a break of the previous day low, break of the overnight low. Scenario one, we fail that, we break back up in, and then we can look for some sort of entry here to risk the overnight low, right? And that gives you a better risk to reward to rotate it at least back to VWAP, and then maybe into that overnight high. That's scenario one. Scenario two for my playbook here is if we break below the overnight low, we come back in here, probably get close to 18,000. I think if you get close to 18,000, you may return back to here. You have to see what happens in this zone. Then you rotate through 18,000 down into, say, 829 is that next level. So that 900 would be the next leg down in this scenario. So that would be a hard flush kind of day. I kind of think this is a less likely scenario, so that's why I'm a little standoffish on it. After yesterday's big run down, I anticipate some chop. So that first scenario down here where we break, come back, maybe break it, and then come back up, a little bit of higher low action, then maybe that's when we get this entry here. We can really tighten up our stop based on the way price action rolls. Same scenario on the top side. If we kind of start to push up into that overnight high here, that 208 level is very important, 200 to 208. So same deal. If we kind of come in here, wick that high, come straight down, I'm going to look to see that close here to rotate us back down to at least VWAP and then to the lows. And you sort of hold above 200, that 208, that gold line there. If we hold this somehow, or we come in and we come back below overnight highs, but we fail that, we wick it and look to rotate back through, I think a break back above 208 gives that good buying pressure. And like I said, the good buying pressure could lead to that 50% retracement, rotating from, let's say, that 172 up into 277, up into this purple zone here would be a safe target. Above that, 281. A 50% retracement is this move here into that 340 level. So just we're watching all of that. As far as our plays are concerned, I'm not going to be doing anything within the middle here. So this whole thing here, I'm not doing anything with. If you're a VWAP trader, I mean, I feel like you need to be off VWAP and then maybe have a return back to it or something of the nature to give yourself an opportunity to try and catch a bounce or, at this point, a breakthrough. But for me, I'm not somebody who plays VWAP entries at the moment. So realistically, also with just, you can see immediately off the open, just straight diminishing volume. Even with this volume here, you went nowhere, right? Larger volume, up, down, up, down, up, down, pretty much doji. And now you're diminishing volume. This candle here is starting to tick up a touch, but we're just at this liquidity area here. So potentially same deal here. There are some buyers that may want to bid this back up. So we are watching that zone carefully as well. 18,100 as that key level. So those are our scenarios for the day. I'm not going to be forcing anything, right? So far, so good. Starting off the funded account again, strong. We're up 1,000 on the week, over 1,000 on the week. Not looking to give much of that back on a Friday with the flat price action. Especially when I know my nemesis is Fridays a lot of times. I've had good weeks, give them some back. If we do start looking for entries, we're going to look for probably just one good entry and hopefully capture it and move on. If we don't, if we miss it, if we get stopped out on it or of any sort of where we're in the money and come back down, break even, or stop out for a full loss, it's probably just going to be a one and done type day unless I really see something else setting up, because the likelihood of it being, choppy, and if I'm going to enter and get stopped out, I may enter again and get stopped out. So right now we're just sitting here, chilling, waiting to see what kind of move we may get, right? So, but if you look at overnight, not much indication of what may happen today other than more of this. NVIDIA is starting to rotate back up over that 863.74. If NVIDIA can break through the pre-market highs again around 870.72, watch it, try to start catching a bid, then watch our overnight high up into that 208, that scenario there. And then we need to see what happens. Does it break, come back down, fail, and rotate? Or does it break, hold, rotate upside? Those are the two scenarios that we're looking at here at that overnight high level. When it's this tight, right, from, we'll call it 190 to 69, 70, 50, so 100 points, give or take. When it's that tight of a overnight range, I don't know if I trust the first move. So the failure may come in. NVIDIA looking to kind of push up over that high. It seems like it's doing it now, giving NQ a reason to catch some sort of a bid. We're at that 177 level. That's important to me in that longer term support area. So if it does break and hold above 177, I'm going to be looking at those longs potentially. Apple pushing down into lows. Once again, sort of inversely correlated to NVIDIA. It seems like every time NVIDIA is going up, Apple's kind of flipping around on the other way, except when the entire market's melting. Microsoft looking to approach the pre-market high. It's currently at 421.41. Not really moving great. If Apple breaks through this level here, a flush down could be coming in down into that 168.25. So Apple could be looking to rotate down. What did I say? Microsoft could fail that high. NVIDIA pushing up into that 877. Keep your money today. If you are up for the week, if you don't have any sort of clear-cut price action plays that you want to play on an intraday basis today on a Friday, with the non-farm number that came out, kind of canceling out some of the other information that came out earlier in the week for rate cut, promising rate cuts coming in on time, or 3 of them actually coming in as opposed to 2 or none. With a strong job sector, it may push that rate cut to start to get priced in later. At the same time, like I mentioned, a strong job sector does show that as our jobs are, as PMI is coming down, our jobs are staying strong. So that's kind of like something that the Fed may look at as far as a reason to cut, right? Because at least, now we're going to be cutting. We're going to have people in the market. Inflation's ticking down according to their metrics. Private sectors are not doing as good as government sectors, which kind of anticipated, in a hard environment to either get jobs or to in an inflationary environment. A lot of people are going to seek those government jobs as far as being stable and, be able to make those payments on those higher PMI numbers or whatever like that. So with the divergence between yesterday's jobless claim and today's NFP, you kind of counteract all the information, and then that's why you get some flat price action, I think. You don't need to, like I said, you don't really need to know if you don't play that game, right? You don't need to know the fundamentals. It really does help. It helps me. That's how I trade. It helps me price in things. It helps me understand why levels are what they are and why they may or may not come into play, or where we may go longer term. And then those longer term ideas give me ideas on an intraday basis going forward. So like I said, you don't need to know it. You don't need to know what the numbers actually mean or anything like that. But if you know anything about fundamentals or anything about news or anything about these data releases, you should at least understand that they are coming, because you could be, let's say you're in this a longer term, or you're in this, you think you're going to be long. You don't know that this non-farm number is coming out. You don't know that it's a high importance for what the Fed's looking at. So you get kind of wicked around by an algorithm because you're not aware of it. All you need to do is go to the Trading Economics, go to Forex Factory, go to any of these sites, look for the red ticket events, even put it into the 2 stars, and just see, okay, when these things start to happen, let's watch the price action. Let's watch what's going on, and then make some decisions either to stay out of the market or hold a trade that you're already in or whatnot. So as long as you understand how much it'll move a market based on just based on it coming out, that's a step in the right direction, right? You don't need to know exactly what it is, but as long as you know that it's coming, that's a step in the right direction, and it will help you, make some decisions, help you stay getting wicked out and whatnot. So I threw up the ES here. Since we are at our overnight high level, now we're interested. We want to see which one of those scenarios might play out. It does seem a bit bullish, obviously, because it is moving up, but also, like I said, this tilt here, 80% long, does give me hesitation to take that long through the overnight high. So if we get another kind of move up here, a failure, I don't know if the failure is going to come in right immediately. I mean, right, it looks like it is now, but at the same time, I'm not convinced on it just based on the grinding kind of price action. I may want to let it grind up a little bit more, give me more of a rising wedge type deal, right? I want this to continue up, probably even up into that 208. If I miss it because it just dumps right here, right now, then I'm fine with that. I just don't want to be jumping in a little too early on some bullish ideas. If you look at the 30-minute chart over here, this 30-minute chart tells me a different story than that 1 minute divergence strategy, right? My level is this 172.50, this yellow dotted line. I am interested in that failing, but at the same time, this big wick bottom here from the NFP number, failing to break down that low with any significance and hold, you come down in, you break it by a couple ticks, then you immediately get bid back up. You're starting to bid back up more. Market's open. Buyers are coming in. You're getting above the bottom end of this channel. So bullishness to me kind of outweighs some of this failure until I could see something that's going to tell me otherwise to break us down the other way. So that's why I'm a little bit standoffish on immediately taking that failure. It could happen right here, and it's, that's part of my strategy of taking this trade, but also I need more confluence, especially on a Friday when things start to, it seems constantly that Fridays we start to trend and trend and trend and trend. Okay, this is yesterday. Let's get back to today. Where are we? I want to just see the delta. Delta gave you a really nice push down here on the open and then just failed to continue on. So that failed breakdown of the opening range low, pushing us back up into it. Like I mentioned, still, good morning, Jofi. How we doing? Starting to get the little bit of a slowdown there. So that is good information for that failure. S&Ps. Russell's trying to tick up a little bit stronger than the other two. It's they're all acting in confluence kind of here. So I would be standoffish on my failure for now. I'm going to wait to see if that's going to happen. I don't see this being a failed break, so I'm going to wait to see if it gets above 208. If 208 gives you a wick off top and then you start to come back down in and fail the overnight high, then that's when I may look to take a rotation down to VWAP. I'm not looking for giant moves today. Today is a potential resting type day, or even a recovery up into like I said, the 50% of that big ass move from yesterday. 240, 240. I wouldn't be bullish through that until it sat on top of that area and then rotated through. So I'm gonna be watching. a lot of sitting on my hands this week. The more I've limited my trades, the more I've really waited for my setups to come in, the more successful I usually am, and I think that's the case for everybody. However, some people do benefit from trading a bit more than less. I definitely benefit from holding off, giving my setups a chance, not chasing, not trying to jump in too early, but also at the same time not being late to the party either. You kind of have to really time this bad boy out. NVIDIA is starting to rotate down some. Microsoft looking to approach the pre-market high. Still hasn't quite cracked it, but it's looking to do it right here. There it goes. Microsoft breaks pre-market highs, and you can see we now have pushed above 208, and the S&Ps are acting exactly the same way in the same time. So there's no divergence here between the two. They're both acting the same. So I would just kind of watch, wait, and see. If we do come back below the overnight high and then start to rotate back through 208, I think that would be a nice little long through that level, right? If you kind of wick it here, come back underneath, hold this area, and then try to break that 208 once again. But with Microsoft peaking above pre-market highs and now just kind of sitting there, nothing to do there. NVIDIA still on highs. That NFP number holding that low gives me bullish sentiment, like I said. So it's very difficult for me to fade this overnight high this early. There's no rush for me to be entering. And then if nothing really shows his hand right here in the next 2 minutes, I have to stay flat. I don't like to trade within 5 minutes of an hourly close, especially this first hour here, this 9 o'clock hour. Most of the time, the news is coming out at 9, so that's usually why I'm waiting. But I think a lot of players will come in here at 9 o'clock after letting that market digest for that first 30 minutes. That opening, some people use that opening range as the first 30. I use the first minute. NVIDIA is about to crack highs. Microsoft broke highs again. Apple pushing up. So everything is getting bullish. We're back, like I said, back within that downward channel from extend right. We're back in the downward channel. Why did it not work? Okay, that's weird. But yeah. Back within the downward channel that we've been in for some time here. I'm going to go over to it, show it to you so you understand what I'm talking about, right? Bounce off the bottom. We've come up above and then accepted right back in. This is a fluid channel for me. It's nothing like exact. I'm not crazy about it. But it just gives me a good idea on if it's going to hold below certain levels or not. I don't really play this channel per se for entries, but I do like it as just kind of continuing our idea here. I did say above 172. This does show some bullishness, so we are holding above 132. It's 5 minutes till 9. I'm going to let this hourly candle close, see what happens. Let this 30-minute candle close. If it approaches that 177 level, I may look to see what kind of rotation back through 208 we get. If it does rotate back through 208, then maybe we get that long up to 277 and up into 281. Right now, it's buyers coming in, but I just don't. This is the reason why I stayed out of that overnight high, that initial failed breakdown, because I felt like the bullishness was still there. Apple, like I said, is bullish. Apple's bullish. NVIDIA's right up at resistance at 877. Hit off on it and sold off a good $3. So if you could trade size on NVIDIA, you could make some good money on the moves that it's making. It's like Tesla of old. Speaking of Tesla, we're holding below 170.27. A nice iced red eye to start my day. The wife made coffee ice cubes. So we're not even watering down. We're just getting more coffee with the melt. It's a beautiful thing. Using the short squeeze espresso for the shots and the Scalper's Delight for our cold brew. Waiting for this 3 more minutes. Tilt about 70%, 71% long here. It's not overly tilty. You do see this on the S&Ps. This in like very straight up. I want to watch this trend line here, see what happens with that. I think that this line here may come back into play. I'm not going to play a break of it immediately, but I'm going to be watching it at the overnight highs and then back through 208. As I mentioned, it looks like this 30-minute candle just wants to push up and close on its highs. So that's interesting for me as well. This 237 to 225 zone is the previous swing lows area of resistance here. So that's what I'm watching. As I mentioned, like the scenarios didn't quite play out for either yet, right? To fail my overnight high, I wanted to see it come up into here, come all the way up pretty much into 208, then go straight down with it, give us that immediate failure. We didn't get that. So that immediate failure idea plan canceled, right? Now, if we get up in here, sit on top of the overnight high, and then break back through 208, there is a chance that that acts bullish, and that's where we're going to start to look. So if we wick off the overnight high, even down into that 177, and then come right back up through it, up into the 208, you could take the 208 long and see if that'll give you continuation to the upside. If you get a diverging pattern here and delta doesn't come back, right? If you start to push up, if price gets up into this yellow zone that we're looking at here, I'm not looking at the yellow zone, but I'm just saying if it does get up into there and delta doesn't play, right? If delta stays down here around this zone here, then you're starting to see the divergence and the rotate back down through the overnight high into VWAP could come into play. So those are kind of scenarios that I'm looking at. S&Ps, like I said, that was a very interesting rising wedge type pattern deal there. That trend line was a little steep, so I figured it was going to kind of crack that and then try to pull back some. Above 72 is bullish. All right, so that hourly candle is now closed. You can see the 30-minute candle closed well above that 77. Closed above that 77 area, right? This dotted line. I'm going to need either a pullback into that area to push back up, or I'm going to need to look to either fades the 277 or somewhere up in that zone, because I don't quite want to play around too much, because above there I feel like it's a little bit bullish. I said slow price action. It's Friday, non-farm Friday. You do have higher lows here, like I was talking about, this 100 area. A lot of times I like this for a reversal type idea. Oh, right. But like the way the information has come out and the price action from overnight, this could just either grind up and not really give us any entries for anything, or it could immediately just sell off and go right back into the range and then sit on the VWAP area again. So that's where I'm considering, if it does pop again and not give you the delta divergence, right, then you start to flush that overnight high, and that could give you a short idea. But right now, I don't have that conviction on this being right now, right? This isn't necessarily a short for me, entry criteria wise, because it held up here for too long for me to be like, yep, all right, we're going to short this right now. It wasn't a failure. It's more of a hold. So it's just more of building a relationship with the instrument that you're trading and seeing, price do certain things for a certain period of time before you start to make educated decisions based on your levels, right? It's not an exact science because it isn't the same every single time. So, if we miss a short here because it just melts through the overnight high and runs the VWAP on me, I can't be upset with that because it's not something that I can justify as being correct for my plan, right? And you can see we're holding the overnight high. I mentioned that also if we did what we're doing here, I would want to see it more of a wick down into that 77 and then a rotate back through the high. And if it gets through 208, then look to get the continuation right now. But that kind of cancels itself out as well if S&P's pushes down. So those two scenarios, although clearly stated, are not clear in the way price is acting currently, right? It's very slow. The volume is super low. You're not getting a ton of volume. We're at 400 contracts in this candle, 400. The opening candle had, what was the volume here? 5,373. Yesterday, our opening candle had, or even this one here, 5,000 on the very bottom end. So it's a little bit higher volume than yesterday on the open, 5,500. A couple days ago, we're at 6,600. So the volume is a little bit lighter on a day like today. You're not seeing a huge bit of movement, right? People are a little more standoffish in this market environment. Even on the NFP release, you're only at 5,200 contracts. If you're over on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe. Help me out a little bit on the algorithm. And if you're also over on YouTube, head over to TradeCaster. I threw the link in the chat. It's also in the bio of the whatever you call it, the video bio information thing underneath. Maybe I should get my terminology better on it, but I don't waste my brain space with that. So we are rotating back above 208. You do a 7-day free trial if you click that, and then once your free trial is up, you can still come into this room free of charge and enjoy all the perks. Once I get over 50 views on a day basis, we're going to do some giveaways. And then as we continue to grow, we're just going to give away something once a week. Last month, we gave away a free month of TradeCaster, so that was cool. Proud of that. So that actual second idea did play out, except for we just didn't get deep enough into failing the overnight high. We are pushing down Delta divergence here, but S&P is looking to push up. Russell's pushing up. So I need to be careful here. Careful. NVIDIA still holding below 877. Apple failing 169. Microsoft looking to pop its head above 422.50 again. Still just kind of sitting below it though. If we can get a really heavy tilt up into that purple zone, then potential that short comes in. But the 30-minute candles are looking really bullish, and I'm not looking to fight that momentum because we saw yesterday when sellers came in how heavy it started to get, and recovering this, like I said, about the 50% retracement would be okay. 50% retracement is around that 18,313 level. So we're coming up into that 38.2. I like this divergence here. A breakdown of the overnight high now gives me some idea of a short to rotate, but the VWAP is pretty close, so it's not going to be a very big trade. It's just going to be some quick scalp. If we can break through that, the short comes back into play. Microsoft's failing highs. I will set my sell stop below this, and we are going to be in. We are in. Set my stop here. Okay. We can get that. Now we're at break even. I want this to fail. I wanted to fail fast. I got out. I got out of that. Up $22, so pretty much congruent with yesterday. I didn't like that whippiness right there. It was good, and then it wasn't for me. I want to see it hold, and then I'll wait for another entry. We'll look for maybe one more good setup before I actually take it. Good on that. If it does melt there, then that was a good trade, but something about it told me just move it and get quick with it. This 177 level was my important level, so if we do break above 208, then I want this thing to run. So that was where I was like, you know what, I'm going to bang out of this one. I banged in, banged out. I'll call it break even, $22.20. I'll take anything positive. I just didn't trust that move after I got into it. So it was part of my plan, part of my divergence. But I really, if I wanted to get into this, probably should have got in below 208. That was where the real good entry would have been for me. So just in hindsight, I don't like it, especially with the S&P so close to VWAP. S&P will respect VWAP, will bounce, and then as S&P bounces, so does NASDAQ. It kind of follows the S&P's levels. So it's a dance that you got to do and you got to be mindful of. And you can see price stagnated right at where we're at. So, if it dumps now, great. I mean, it would have worked out fine. With Microsoft hitting off on 422 and just selling off right away. Fantastic. I didn't like this overnight high as a good risk to reward area. So that's why I'm banging out, Sometimes you got to learn to just bang out, even if you think it's going to be good or bad. Just a feel thing that I had. Especially when I get fast, whippy moves like that into a key level, and then you get that pop. That was just kind of me using my intuition on it and gut saying that if this is going to go, if it was going to be a hard, quick melt, the way the price was being quick to the downside, it would have broke through 177 and went down into that VWAP pretty quick. Based on the way the NQ usually acts, that was not one of those actions, right? You got a break, and then it kind of stopped. It immediately hit that wall. And as I mentioned, if we did this, I was kind of considering a long through 208, but now all I do is see is some chop. So I'm going to be patient at these levels. Like I said, Fridays tend to be a little bit tough for me, so for me to be just holding off, I'm fine with that. That was, I'm glad I banged out. Obviously, you can see, because it was part of, once I saw the way price action acted, this price action did tell me I wanted to go long through 208. The plan was that type of play, the way it was speeding up to the downside and everything was following. I said, okay, I'll take the short here. But once I noticed that it hit that brick wall, I said, okay, we'll move the stop in and get out if it does break above. If it was going to flush harder, then we could have just trailed quick and got out around VWAP. Or if it kind of melted like yesterday, you could have just trailed candle by candle and never been out. So that's why I just didn't go with it. Microsoft still selling. Apple dead center of its range. And NVIDIA selling off of that 877 level as well. So right into that 871, 870. And with this volume here, you can see the tick up in volume on that. You would expect a break and a continuation. You didn't get it, so could just consolidate up here at these highs. I'm not the person to say which direction it's going to go. I just need to put myself in good positions to limit my risk and then to rotate it to either the other end or continuation. Breakouts for me fail a lot of times, so that's why I usually play failed breakouts to give me my good risk to reward. I'm not looking to pick tops or bottoms, although it would be nice. Everybody, says don't be a bottom picker, don't be, but I look for areas of interest for price to slow down, for things to start to get set up for me. And then I go and I'll look to rotate and catch a piece of the move. It would have been nice to have been here around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, but I was going to work and that thing just melted off, kind of ran right into my area. So talking through that setup that I was thinking about taking, that I got swindled into the short instead of waiting for this 77 to come in and break through 208. Clearly that idea was the right one, right? Come into 77, wait for the break of 208, and then you would never get looked back. And obviously I missed that trade because I was too focused on that short with Microsoft selling off, Nvidia selling off, everything kind of coming in, that manipulation there. I could have took this now based on that whole plan, and I did not. But so be it. It's a nice little, only a 50-point move that you could have caught without very much any resistance whatsoever. So hopefully, if you were listening, you kind of thought that was a really good idea and you took it. But I also thought it was a really good idea and just did not take it. So that's on me. All right. Then you got Delta with a nice push up. From 208, the break of 208 up into there. That's 250. It's 180 ticks. Delta still didn't make new highs, so this could also be just another reason to fail us. Only a 65% tilt long side, so nothing crazy heavy. Up into 277, 281 could be interesting for us. I would be mindful of that. Although, I think yesterday's price action cut through every level I have and just decided that nothing mattered. So that's really what it comes down to. If price wants to go, it's going to go. Doesn't really matter some of these levels. But if it's going to do what it's doing right now, then these levels are going to be important. So I'm going to get rid of this crack because it's not important. The 208 break, that plan was perfect, and then I just didn't take it. So that's just something I'm going to notate in my mental playbook here at the moment. Talking through it. Sorry. I'm a little phlegmy these days. You can see S&P's never made new highs. It make equal highs and trying to rotate down. So this area may start to look to fail. The trade that I would have wanted to take, 1 minute in and out, 50 points. You could not beat that setup there. And then probably right now potentially looking to continue on through that high. If it does continue through that high and you're still in and you're trail below that purple zone, see if you can capture a little bit more of it. But I think that may act as some resistance coming into there. If it breaks, then that 281 level above could be another next level of interest. Well, that idea was pretty good. So I was looking for that. The divergence here for the short through the overnight high, that's my normal setup. That's why I tried that one and noticed that it was going to fail. Once I saw that was going to fail and went to break even and stopped myself out on it, I should have definitely considered this 208 play. The reason I stopped my out is because I thought I was going to run up to highs. So that potential long play, got to be a little quicker and just throw that order out there and let it, rest maybe at 210. You break that 208 and be off to the races. Oh, just got to look for that next opportunity. Can't be mad about missed trades because that's going to happen all the time. I got an itchy foot. I got mosquito bites, I think. This $22.20 puts us green again. We're just kind of here slowly grinding this account at the moment. Last 2 days have been nothing burgers. Opening range break of the high seems to be, well, that break initially manipulated down. Once you come back above it, you haven't looked really back at it. There potentially could be just the low of the day is in. And on Fridays, we tend to like to trend, especially of late. So I'll be interesting to see what happens if it does pull back into these levels again, if it does either try to pop or not. NVIDIA just chopping around. You can see that's this one right here. Look at these wicks, this indecision here in NVIDIA. What does it want to do? Does it want to continue on up? If you start to see this break above that 877 or even the high of today and push up, then you may get the NQ to follow through. Microsoft also right there at the highs. Apple, middle of its range. Tesla, see if it's still holding below that 70. Yep, so Tesla wicked above 70.27 and now it's failing again. So that's where we're at right now. Nothing to do for me. It's Friday, capital preservation day. Not trying to hammer into anything. Got to take the sweatshirt off though. So there's that failure of that purple area that I was mentioning. The follow through, it's going to be very difficult to capture on a day like today. I think it just feels like that kind of day. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a hold of this kind of trend line here for now. I don't know. That's not important anymore. You do have a double top here in the S&Ps. Thank you, good sir. Appreciate you. Patience, patience, patience. It's all about patience. I really just, I got nothing to say about missing this entry here other than it happens. And because this is my setup for a short, that's the reason I took it. I could not ignore this wick top failure of a key level and the overnight high. So I was able to notice that 177 level was important previously, so I did pay attention to it, get myself to break even kind of quick based on the way the price was moving. My job on Fridays, my job every day is to preserve capital, but Friday especially, I'm not trying to get back a great week, a great first week within this account, and then just trying to build off of it week by week by week, and try to be green by the end of the month and try and take out some money from the markets. And so that's where we're at right now. Gonna just be cautiously looking for another setup with, like I said, with that tight range from the previous day low to the overnight high to overnight low. The only thing that's really well enough away is previous day high. But after a big move like yesterday, it's very hard to say that we're going to get big follow through on any moves after that, right? You may just rest until Monday, let the market digest over the weekend, and then start to pop off again Monday. I think a lot of people either made or lost a ton of money on that move yesterday, and price also just may grind back up slowly the rest of the day. If it does start to fail this trend line and we start to break down, VWAP could be used as a target. If it rotates through it, then maybe we start to look to see if the lows get taken. If the lows get taken, then we rotate back up higher. And like I said, it's a lower volume Friday. You're not getting tons of volume. The one break of a level that we ended up getting good volume on, because I did mention it was a key area to be interested in, was this break of 208. And then previously the breakdown, the reason I took this trade here is a higher volume break of a key level. Same deal with this, higher volume break of a key level, still just not following through. So trades today may not follow through. So just be cautious on what your setups are and execute, but execute maybe a little cautiously, right? Got responsibilities. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, or anything that they're looking at, or why I maybe entered this and got out as quick as I did, or how I feel about missing a trade, but also at the same time, a lot of people looking for something like this, I would, with that fast of a move, I'm looking to trail quick once I enter a zone that I'm interested in, right? That purple zone has been a liquidity zone for me, so I would be interested in trailing that tight. Some people enter this breakout anticipating that it's going to continue on for the rest of the day, and now look at that. If you're at break even or just below, you're looking to get stopped out for break even here. So these are the kinds of things you got to recognize with what you're trading and how you want to trade it on a day, like very specifically on a day-to-day basis, right? You have to understand what the market environment is for that day in order to make good decisions on how you're going to trail, how you're going to execute, all these things. You have to have them planned out. Otherwise, if you're just going to go by the seat of your pants, you're going to get yourself in trouble, because I am definitely one of those. Earthquake in New York. Interesting. Holding this support. Don't be surprised if it does crack and get below 208, that it does give you a higher volume breakdown. NVIDIA's just been rolling over slowly from the highs and hasn't really looked back much after that. Microsoft also it's holding up higher a little bit better than NVIDIA is, and Apple's rotating down as well. So with these names rolling over, potentially look for this to, like I said, stop its follow through, back down through 208. You are getting that push. I just don't, earthquake in New York City. Could that affect the market? Not, it's a minor one. Do I take a shot at this breakdown again with a failed breakout, good volume breakout, but then now you're failing that and you're getting the NVIDIA rollover, you're getting the Apple rollover, Microsoft not playing around? Could look to short the overnight high again, see if you get a higher volume break this time, see if that's the true breakdown or if it's going to hold that 177 level again. So I'm going to watch it, see what happens here. This could be an interesting level to get a short involved. The only thing that keeps you aware, right, is this VWAP on the S&Ps. No, that's fine. I'm almost done with this. So as we approach VWAP on S&P, hey you, ask your sister if she felt the earthquake. The earthquake in the city. Yeah. Nvidia's rolling over. Overnight highs breaking down now. If we close below here, I may look to short this. If it's going to give you a wick bottom type deal, I'm not. Like I mentioned, you can see S&P's bouncing right off VWAP. Even though we didn't make it to VWAP here in the NQ, still getting some action on it, right? Nvidia rolling some. That's helping this rotate down. Failed breakout. I think it's going to be a rotation day. Is the 177 level more important than the overnight high? What's Delta looking like? Delta made new lows. Price not quite there yet, so potential look to see that happening. Russell looking to push into the opening range. S&P is also looking to do it. We did close below that overnight high. It is acting as support. There's that bounce off of S&P bouncing off VWAP. So using these other indices to help keep you in or out of a trade is useful if you know what you're looking for, right? Key levels, VWAP. If you were to get in on this overnight high with a tight stop, you might have got stopped out because of this bounce off of VWAP on the S&Ps. Now, if you wait to see if it'll confirm and hold below that VWAP area, then maybe the NASDAQ will give you an entry to break down and follow through. But you're starting to see volume is ticking up. Look to see if that failure comes in. There's a hold of the overnight high because that hold of that VWAP. Nvidia is still trying to rotate downside. So I think if we could fail VWAP with the S&Ps, then rotate through the overnight high, back down to lows, more of a rotational type day, rest type day for the trades that we are seeing here. I'll wait 1 minute for this candle to close, see what happens. This 30 minutes still holding above 72, so that is still bullish to me. So it's hard to take the short here. It is the harder trade. Most of the time, the harder trade is the right trade. Holding overnight highs again. Does the break of 208 give you a nice volume push again or not? Seems like it's possibly going to just be the resistance point now. With Nvidia still rolling downside, a 30-minute crack of the 72 level probably rotates its harder downside. So potentially looking to short this right here through this level here. One more time. We'll see if we can get this thing to push with some volume. If we get back above 208, I'm going to just bang out of this. I'm going to cancel this order. I'm just waiting to see what kind of action we're going to get here. You are seeing VWAP still holding on the S&Ps, so that's the one thing that's holding us up. I would like to get to VWAP on the NQ. That's a good target for here, but if we get above 208, like I said, I'm going to just cancel this order. I want to be involved if it's going to give me a hard, really hard push down, right? That's why I have my stop there, because it feels like it wants to get heavy. But also at the same time, it's holding that VWAP here and trying to rotate back above. So that pop above here is going to possibly pop up us above the 208 and give that long some more legs. And I'm going to cancel this order here because we did pop that 208 level. So that level is canceled. that trade idea is null now that we've held above that 208 level. I think a crack and break above 227 continues you back to the upside, right? A break of this level right here probably gives you a volume break. Nvidia curling. See, I'm not interested in the long here just because that second time through 208 didn't give you the same volume push that one did. However, I think if we do break this 227 to 230 area, that's when you might see that next volume break. That's 228 and a quarter. So you might start to see volume pick up if you get above here. As I mentioned, I'm not really a breakout trader. I'm looking to fade overnight highs and lows and revert back to the mean kind of, those give me better opportunities to mitigate my risk pretty quickly. So I can call this out all day. I'm not going to trade it for the next, little bit until I can really build a buffer in this account and decide if I want to start taking some maybe B plus type setups, right? Instead of all of my A plus setups. The reason I took that first trade, that's my A plus right there. A double top divergence above an overnight level, and then a volume press right through it. There's a chance that it follows through. There's a chance it fails. It failed. I got the break even. I got out. I recognized the level below not cracking, and that's really kind of what gave me that confluence to bang out of that trade. I was watching this. This is another setup of mine. It's more of an A setup of a hold of an overnight high, right? You break above it, you give a wick bottom on it, and then you rotate back up. If you go to I'm sure if you go to the 5, it's going to be more of a wick bottom, right? You wick that overnight high, you got above 208, you held 208, and then you got that volume break on the next 5-minute candle. So that gives you that push to the high side there. Starting to push volume up here. Ticking up, ticking up, ticking up. Like I said, this is going to be the resistance area here. If you can break it, volume press. Let's see what happens with this earthquake. I'm going to look into this. You can see that this is nothing that you want to. This is chop, right? This is consolidation in an area that is interesting. I'm drawing up these lines for you so you can see, this breakdown. If you're a trend line break person, nothing's going to really follow through on a day like today. You may get these muted moves all over the place. So if you are looking to execute and you're more of a longer time horizon person, then you got to really set your stops kind of wide and just let them do their thing, or just take your profits, take your base hits, take your 1-to-1s, your 2-to-1s, your 3-to-1s right here. If you're going to risk just to the high of this candle, trail it tight as it gets close to key levels because it's turning around on them. But now you're starting to see a little head and shoulders type deal. Maybe you do get that breakdown, but as you get to that level, it's going to be right on top of VWAP. So for me, that negates my entry criteria because the distance to VWAP is way too close for me to consider taking a short to get through it, right? Because it's usually my target initially and then a rotation to the other end. But if you're going to support on VWAP, there's a good chance the bounce happens. So that is a failure of my setup, right? Next Friday, 1 week from today, we will be doing a trader meetup. New York City, earthquake capital of the world today. Apparently, 230 Fifth Avenue, 5 to 7 p.m. I think at least. head on over there if you're in the tri-state area. If you're willing to fly over, go do it. I'll be flying up for Friday and Saturday to do some business, take care of some stuff, and also meet up with all the traders from Tradecaster over there. If you're on YouTube, join up with Tradecaster. Come on over, meet us over at 230 Fifth Avenue next week, 1 week from today, 5 p.m. I apologize. This cough is just lingering. It'll be gone by next week. Probably because I won't talk as much. I do think that a break above this line right here gives you a bit of a volume press up. A failure of it or a hold of it, rotate back down through the overnight high. I think the short does come in, but I don't have the A plus setup anymore because VWAP is butt up right against it, so I don't have my my true setup. So let's see if this level breaks through here and then pops off to the high side, or if it holds and rejects. That's what we're watching here. Volume's ticking up. Volume's ticking up. You can see it down here, higher than more volume than the previous couple candles. Looking to get through this big seller here, whoever's there. 18,222, 225. There's some size coming in on the bids. 225. There's a 10 lots, 10 lots. Nvidia bouncing, but still holding below these pre-market highs. No follow through on moves today, right? We still didn't get through this, but the tick up in the volume as we approach it does give me that interest in it, and we'll see if it pops off from here. I think that gives you a decent break, sort of something like this, but I'm not taking it because why would I take a trade that I call out that perfectly works? There you go. There's a little push up. So you're already, from 27 up to 37. That was a 10-point move there. A little 10-point pop. As I mentioned, take your base hits. Don't be looking for crazy home runs, but this should follow through a little bit and then be interested in this area. If not, if that fails, watch the rotation back through the low of this 208. Base hit, failure. Delta not making new highs, not even coming close. Right into that yellow zone there that's been drawn up for some time. So sitting below here. Like I'm saying, there's not a ton of really good follow through in anything that's happening today. It's a Capital Preservation Friday. For us to be up $22 again today, another $20-something trade. The other trade wasn't $20 yesterday. Yesterday was $2.90, but we were down $2.60. So this is the first small little break even this week. We've made 6 trades this week, and we are, if we call them 4 winners, 1 loser, and I'll call this $25 trade a break even. I'll take that every week, and then as we grow and we scale, you just scale it by contract. Take the same moves, take the same entries, take the same trailing techniques, and that's when the P&L will grow, right? As you build the buffer, then you can build size, and as you build size, then you can start to build your account to grow, and the exponential growth comes in after that. Don't scale up too quick, don't scale up too slow, but also at the same time, let's try and do this the right way. Execute our A-plus setups. This is not an A-plus setup. The first time it was, right? I'll take that trade 100% of the time. You got the push above the key level, as we mentioned, came right back then into it, up again through the 208, which you maybe could have took from 208 to 220. That's a nice little 20-point catch. However, I wasn't looking for that. I was looking for it to get down into here before we got that, which ended up happening. But that's not my normal A+, so I kind of was a little standoffish on taking this one. But the one I did take right here, we did take the short through the overnight high right there, this candle, and we broke even on it. So we'll type that up, trade one. And then we were break even. We stopped out right here for a $25 winner, $22 winner. We were looking, so I've just been notating my trades within this here. We are consolidating S&Ps, right? High, low, rotation. If you anticipate this to be either a breakout, you got to wait, see if it's going to break and hold, and with some volume up here, but you do have this overhead resistance, could rotate back down to VWAP once again. If that's the case, if that's going to start to rotate down, this zone may start to fail for you on the NQ. And if you want to play rangy type moves, then the rotation down. But on the 30-minute chart, still bullish, still holding that level there, right? And we cracked this. The rotation back to 277 isn't so far-fetched. The only issue is that we are in this bottom end of this consolidation here. So, if we do crack today's high, I would anticipate that 277 to come in, and even potentially we could rotate back to the high end of this channel, but that would just be a slow grind the rest of the day. A pullback to 177, like right here, could happen as well, and then you get the follow through. It's really all relative to the low volume that we're seeing on the day today. Yesterday, higher volume pretty much all day. What did I just do? Oh, there we go. If anybody's got anything that they're looking to trade, let me know, because right now markets are pretty slow. After yesterday's huge rundown, like I said, a lot of people either made a ton of money, lost a ton of money. There's no reason for them to really be executing much today. They do have, conflicting macroeconomic data releases this week. So the ability to price in where they think rate cuts are going to go is pretty much stagnated. So like I said, maybe a 50% retracement of this big leg down could be in play for today, and that's what I was mentioning. At least a 50% retracement would put us, once again, 18,300, 18,310. So not out of the realm of possibility. Just like a slow kind of grind day. Hell yeah. I would call it a weekend. If I was up 23 grand yesterday and called it 11,000 on the puts, I would definitely be taking the weekend and enjoying myself for sure. Money, man. You got this bit here. It seems like every time we break one of these little channel pieces here, we kind of give a little bit of a follow through, and then you start to rotate back again. So just, watching those if you're really, really short term. If you're Joe Fee on a combine, you might take those. slow mover Friday, grinding type day. 9:45, over an hour into the market session. Took one quick break even on my setup. Fade of the overnight high breakout. Didn't quite get any follow through, obviously, on it. The only other trade that I really had interest in was the one that happened pretty much 4 minutes right afterwards. Was this big candle. I talked it out prior. This is some more size is actually coming into these cells here, so I'm gonna start getting interested, potentially see what happens. Very nice. Yeah, Nvidia was super extended, and the markets had a reason to pull back some. So the way it was kind of basing out 5 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see why. It did break through lows, previous swing lows, had a little head and shoulders type top going up into that 959. And then, like I mentioned, with Nvidia, any sort of real selling that comes in and starts to crack levels, then the selling is going to come in hard because people are going to be looking to take profits. Trailing stops are going to be banged out. Nvidia went on a wild run. So, once you approach that $1,000 mark or get kind of close to it when you're one of these companies, once selling comes in, it's moving fast. $50-50 on the tilt. S&P is breaking through the highs into this purple zone here, 52.32. If it holds below that level and starts to rotate down, the NASDAQ will also follow. Nvidia, just stagnant, middle of the range type day for Nvidia. Breather day. NQ, like I said, broke through that high of day as well. Not by much. I think it was like by one tick, maybe even an equal high there. So just if we do get a crack here, watch volume, see if it does break out up into that 281. Sub SPY Proby, how we doing? I'm basically break even past 2 days. Yesterday I got wicked out and was down, and then I made back the gain for a positive $25 day. And today we went short on our setup and saw that we were going to run into some resistance, so we decided to cut it at break even. So we're break even today, up for the week, good $1,063.20. So can't be mad about $1,000 week. Kind of being a little bit cautious on a Friday where I get myself chopped up normally. So yeah, now it's starting to tick up some. As we said, I thought if we broke through this high that we would approach the 277 level, which we're kind of running right into 277 here up to 281. So this is max loss limit. This is balance. So this is my current balance of what I've made so far on this Express Funded account. Max loss limit just trails up to zero. Once it gets to zero, it'll never go anywhere else. So it'll hit up to, once this MLL is zero, it'll stay there forever. And then RPL is realized, UPNL is unrealized, and daily loss limit here is daily loss limit. So if I hit off on 1,000 on the daily loss limit, they lock you out. You can withdraw from Top Step with 5 $200 days. Yep. Every time you hit 5 $200 plus days, you can withdraw. I believe they do make some exceptions to that. Let's say for people who are trading consistently where they just hit off $100 days constantly and they're up like, $5,000, they may be like, all right, you're good. They just want to see consistency. They want to see that you're not making a 10G day and then hitting micros for 5 days to get a payout, right? Yeah, so I had a 500. I'm pretty consistent. You can see the trades here. I don't know if you can see them on the screen. Let's see. Yeah, so those are the trades for the week. I'll scroll it up. Or you know what I'll do? I'll go to Performance Center. Stats. performance stats. This is the daily balance. Nice little smooth equity curve up and to the right here. These are the day stats from the last few days. Monday we were up 302. It says 2 total trades. I believe it means executions because I only made 1 trade. So it's 1 in, 1 out. Winning trades. Our win rate here is 100%, 75% yesterday, 100% today so far. But pretty much averaging that 300. I guess now it's 200 with these last 2 days. So $200 days. So I got 2 out of the 5 days for the withdrawal.
I love you.
Love you, buddy. Where are you going? Come here. Give me a hug.
To the fire truck.
Oh, you're going to the fire truck, Brooks? All right. Say hi to everybody. Say happy Friday. Say happy Friday. Say it.
Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Good trade.
Everybody trade good, right? All right. Go enjoy the fire trucks, buddy.
What in the world is that?
That's water.
Oh, what? Is this building?
Have fun.
Okay, I love you.
Happy Friday from the little guy. That's what we trade for, right? Those are the guys that we want to see thrive off of our trading. You know, I could care less about myself. I'm lying. I like myself. I would love to do well for myself, but once you have those little mini yous running around, it all becomes about them. So, yeah, for me, like I said, there we go. Hitting off on that 81, 70, the 77, 81. So now could run into this resistance here for some choppiness based on the way we've had some lack of follow through on moves today. Pretty much level to level it's been going. So kind of trusting breakouts to give you big follow throughs is probably not likely unless you're like a longer term, long horizon, trader. If you entered in long from like the opening range breakout, which was over here, what was the actual level? I don't feel like doing math or looking hard. It's 146.50. So 146.50. Could have gone long from that after the failed break of the opening range low and just had stops to the low of the day. If that's your trading style, then it's still working out for you pretty nicely. For me, as a scalper, as somebody who's going to be in and out kind of quick, looking for just a quick few points here and there, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 points. As I start to add size, you will see me, like last week, while we were on the combine, you saw me have multiple contracts and have multiple contracts off. Until this buffer comes in, I'm trading single contracts, and I'm a little bit tighter with my one single contract just to secure my profits and go, especially on some of these setups. So that's just my style. Everybody has their own style. And I think, being in a room like this or any sort of streaming room or anything like that where it's more so getting the value out of what kind of levels they're providing or just, maybe some ideas kind of differ from what you're doing and they kind of give you just a little bit of insight into some other side so you could even fade, the room and be happy. But for me, I did call out a few good moves. I didn't take them just because they're just not A+ setups, and on a Friday where I normally get chopped, I'm not going to take it. This was part of the plan here, this break of 208. Once I stopped myself out here on this for the break even, I kind of just wanted to give myself a pause, and I started to talk through the entry and everything here, kind of reflect on it. Could have been quick because I did say that the reason I wanted to get out of this was probably the reason why this would have worked out perfectly, and obviously it did for a nice little 50-point push in 1 minute. We were looking for the, I can't not take the divergence breakdown of an overnight high. So we did that, saw that resistance acting there really pretty quickly. VWAP for S&Ps was right on, the docket here. So pushing up off that, I said, no, I'm cutting this. Let's reset and see what happens. But before we even got there, I said, if we get back into 77, I kind of wanted it to happen here and then go the third touch once I saw this, then it gave that added confidence to it. I just didn't take it. So it's a mistrade on me. It is what it is. You just got to move on. But it's something to reflect on, to say that, okay, of my plans, I had two scenarios here. Failed break, didn't work. The actual break of 208 did work. So if you do hit both of those, then potentially, even if you do take full risk, stop out and just flip long at that area, you're at least covered and then some. But for me, didn't want to do that. So just be out here kind of starting to get some heavier volume here at 300. Two larger size orders on the bid, 14, 8 at 299. So some larger size getting filled up there on the buy side right here around 300. So potential look to carry on, although the tilt is starting to get heavier long. So just be mindful of it. I did say that level is going to be that 50% retracement. So we're pretty much hitting right off 50% of yesterday's pullback. And we're right into that channel, middle of the range of that channel from the downtrend. So as we approach the upper end of that channel, that 360 level, 359 to 360, that's somewhere that I would be saying that that's the top end of that channel. If you were to go over to this screen here, you would know what I'm talking about. That's right there. It's sort of been invalidated, this downward channel here. I do keep it up just because it's still visual. I don't play the levels, exactly. I'm more so playing those yellow lines. But I do keep this out here just for visualization purposes and just giving me a better idea on what's going on a little bit of a longer term basis. Breaking above and breaking below, but returning right back into it kind of continues the same sort of pattern. It's just, a standard deviation outside of it. So if you don't take your levels too seriously, nothing's exact, especially with the NASDAQ. NVIDIA trying to crack above 876, 877 right here, 877.20. So it just broke that level. If it can hold above it and continue to run, NVIDIA will go, let's see, next level above 883.73. So a break above here. These levels have been acting pretty strong. So if it does hold above here, I'd say 883 right into this pre-market low here. You're going to watch that level. And then if it breaks through that, obviously that 892 level, it's not very difficult for NVIDIA to make big moves like that. Apple has just been ranging between this 169 and 168, area here, pretty much all overnight and even into this market open. Apple's just been beat down. Microsoft, I'm going to guess, is still stuck in its little range between 427 and 420. So this little range here. Jofi, I'll see you next week. Enjoy your weekend. I think I'm pretty much done today too. I'm going to stick around to stick with my my stream consistency of being here every day, 8:30 to 11. I know next week, I know you're not going because you're in Dubai, but we do have the trader meetup in New York. So I won't be streaming that day either. So I want to make sure I stick to the consistency this week. Enjoy your weekend, brother. I hope you crush it next week. Let's all get back into it. But enjoy your weekend. Make sure you do something that's fun. Microsoft did break that level, so we're going to see Apple pushing upside. NVIDIA, I want to see what NVIDIA does at this level. If it fails it again, then you rotate back down a little bit in NQs. But NQs pushing through 313, that's a 50% retracement. Like I said, I think bullishness above 77 was my key level. I mentioned it. If you were here in the beginning of the stream when I was drawing out my game plan for each direction, this was this idea for the long. And it started here with this 208 break. Unfortunately, we did not take it again. I said the second time through, and then a break above this line here. We probably get a break and a hold of that. And what do you know? You broke. You failed it, and then you broke it again, and then now the second break acted as that true point to break out from. So like I said, Fridays, I tend to see it be a continuation, sort of trendy type day, but also after a huge push down, sort of a grinding price action that doesn't give me my opportunities. It may give other people opportunities, and these levels do play out really, really nicely. Like as I mentioned, there was an opportunity for me to make a couple good trades that I did not take. I took one break even, and I'm just not going to try and force it on a Friday after being up for the week. So I know I tend to get myself into trouble, like I said, trying to force in some stuff on a Friday that might just get me chopped up a bit. So like I said, I'll stay on for until 11. I want to be mindful of some of these levels. I want to watch the price action. I want to be involved in the conversation, see what other people are doing. But until then, I kind of just want to be a little bit cautious on a Friday for myself. This was a good price action for somebody who's looking to trade these, not that they're grinding, but these breakout plays. I'm not a breakout person, so it's not really easy for me to play the breakout continuation after a huge sell-off, although I did sort of anticipate that after that NFP number just didn't push us below that next level, right? So once that pre-market level held, this long sort of was obvious in that sense, but obviously not obvious enough for me to take it, because I am not a middle of the range trader. If I don't get to an overnight high or an overnight low or of a previous day low, I don't really execute. On my anticipation of today being potentially initially range bound, that's why I took my short there. Then I took the break even. Once you started to break out above that 200, 208 level, the continuation was on. So good on you if you took that. If you made some money on a Friday, I am proud of you. I made some money on a Friday. It's $22.20 worth of big time money here. Looking to get that max loss limit down to 0, which would be when we get to 2,000. So when you get to 2,000, that max loss limit on the 50K account is 0. You can withdraw up to 50% of your profits after 5 $200 winning days initially with Top Step. I want to build a big enough buffer where I don't have a worry about my drawdown. I can start adding a second contract to my position size. So planning out my scaling is gonna limit me from taking that first withdrawal until I get that max loss limit to 0. If we just keep doing what we're doing like we did this week, yes, we have 2 break-even days, and we're still up over 1,000 because we're able to just work on that one good execution. I know I get myself into trouble when I do too many executions on a day, so that's why I don't want to I don't want to be banging into more than 2 to 3 trades a day. Now, I would love to just be one and done every single day. I love trading. I love executing. I love being in and out. But I do, like I said, I find myself getting myself into trouble when I do too many executions, giving money back. So I'm doing my best to avoid that. NVIDIA looking to not quite hold that 877 level. $232. That's that breakout point right there, huh? 27 to 32. Delta making new lows. Price trying to make new lows. May get a return back down. If you do crack this trend line here, you may get back to the purple area. Could hold this level here. Could crack it. If it does crack, like I said, it back into that purple zone. Fridays tend to be continuation type, trending type days over the last few weeks or so. So I don't know if I trust a full rotation back down to the lows, but if you do get a correction here, you could buy up the bid, buy the dip somewhere in that purple range, maybe into VWAP, or it'll hold this trend line and continue on up. But we have retraced 50%, so. All right, give me 1 minute. I'm going to take a quick 5, and I'll be right back. All right, there's the bounce. Still bouncing off of that level. Lower high could crack it. If you're interested in books that may help your trading psychology or how to be profitable, I have this one sitting here. Figure I'll show it out. One Good Trade by Mike Bellafiore, the head trader at S&B Capital. It's pretty good so far. Just giving you a little insight on how the prop firm that he has created from scratch, how they go about teaching their young traders, how they teach even their experienced traders on how to just go and execute their one good trade at a time. And I like it a lot so far. I'm big into reading, gathering information, being as educated as possible on a subject that I'm trying to become an expert at, right? If you're not doing this to try and become an expert at it, then you're not doing it yourself a service, because you're just going to eventually fizzle out or lose money and just kind of lose interest. Ever since I've started in this, I've always had that deep burning feel of like I need to be able to see what's going on with markets, understand the dynamics, and it kind of keeps you into the world as a whole, understanding how little things affect markets and all that. So the deeper part of this gets me going as much as the money, right? Obviously, $22 is gonna change lives. I'm here to be out here every single day executing to a plan, and then eventually, those dollars add up and they get you to where you want to be. I think overall, if you go into building your mental education base the more you do, it might not seem like it's helping right away, but long term, it's going to help you. I promise. I definitely think that reading, studying the markets, understanding what you're trading and why things move, or learn one little thing here and there. And for the weekend, I definitely recommend it. This, and I have the audio book of Mental Game of Trading. I have a lot of trading books and stuff like that. As a baseball player, I was into the mental aspect of the game, like growing that as well. So one thing that I think helped my gameplay, baseball-wise, mentally, was the Mind Gym, is what it's called, Mind Gym. I read that, and that book kind of really helps focus in your mental training on top of what your physical abilities are, right? You have to be able to train both your mental side and your physical side if you want to try and play a sport at a high level. And if you're trying to do this at a high level, you got to treat it like a sport, right? So we are getting that setup that I like, that divergence, selling off, S&Ps, Russell, everything's starting to sell here. So possibly look to get this short now on the breakdown here of this 81 level. Holding below 77 now. A close here below 77 could push us now down into this. Like I said, now push us down to the purple zone. I guess you get a little lower high here. There was a delta congruence. You're starting to push through. Not a huge volume push, but we are below a key level at 277, and then Nvidia is rolling over as well. So you have some confluence. S&Ps is acting the same. You have a wick off top here with volume. Another 45 minutes left on the day for me, for streaming, for trading. 45 minutes left in the week here. Just don't have much. Like I said, every little trade that I've seen that I have had interest in hasn't had great follow through on it. Yes, this long had good follow through. From here, this break that I was mentioning off of this level right here, I called that out when that broke, or before it broke. As we approached it, I said if we do break above here and hold, then the rotation up to 81 is a good chance. We hit right off on 81, and we went beyond up into 300, which is the 50% retracement from yesterday's big impulsive move down. So I also thought since we held above 277, if we do get above here and hold, then we can rotate up higher. But seems like we're failing that level, and now we're looking to rotate back downside. I don't know if it's going to follow through or not. Fridays tend to be continuations, so I would be a little cautious on follow through on this. I like that spot there. Hot damn. $82 down now to 62. 20 points. I think you can get down into 40s. That's a nice little 40-point move. I wouldn't shy away from taking that kind of money off the table. So I wouldn't really anticipate follow through back through it, but it could happen. Holding, if this 30-minute candle holds below 77, then maybe we see some more rotation down to 200. As I mentioned, that divergence there, the lower high on a key level. This happens all the time, right? Lower highs and all that stuff. But if it's not at a key level, you can't take it. We were at a key level. I could have executed it, but I pretty much have told myself for the rest of the day that I'm not quite interested at extended levels for this Friday. I will like to execute if I do see something that just screams, let's take this. This was one of those that was getting me interested. I was probably a few minutes away from setting up an order. I just decided not to. And obviously you can see what happened there. My history of Friday trading, has lent me to not execute. So, like I said, I'm not mad at it. I kind of came in today with the plan of one, possibly two trades, and these were the ones I was looking at. That was part of my plan for the morning. I executed on one, didn't execute on the other. We were break even for the day. Once I said if we did crack this key level, lower high, break of the trend line, that crack close, 40 points, no problem, right? That's 40 points, 80 to 40. Do the math. $20 per point, 40 points, $800. Wow. With no heat, right? Just talking through these levels, if you're willing to execute, these do set up time and time again. If you're patient enough to let your setups come in, this is one of those ones that I would be very interested in the future. Right here, this whole setup, you got a high volume wick off top. You got the divergence here, right? The lower high key level. You have this trend line here now. That trend line also breaking down. So you have everything and then a liquidity zone right below where a price wants to go to. So everything about this says short me. I didn't, right? But I was talking it out through giving you the reasoning behind why I would. And so there it is. There's your short. Pretty much took zero heat on it. If you did take the break below, let's say 80, if you broke through 80, took it to 40, there's your 40 points. You take that money and run on the Friday. As I mentioned, however, Fridays do like to trend a bit, so I would not be surprised if that's all you get out of that move, unless this now retests and becomes a downtrend. But there's a chance that that's all you're going to get out of it. NVIDIA creeping back up. If NVIDIA breaks 877, then a follow through to the upside continues up into that high end of that channel. 331 up into 350, 360. I think that might be the full extent of the retracement right here. That level there. .8 earthquake. That's not too shabby. Check on some stuff. See if that breaks above there. Or if it's going to hold that. NVIDIA looks like it wants to break, so. Everything is delivered. Good. Just checking on my orders and stuff. if you guys are all interested in coffee, head over to daytradingcoffeeco.com. We are a company for traders by traders for all of your caffeination needs. We have 10 different roasts from decaf all the way up to espresso blend, single origins. We have swag, right? Clothing, mugs. If you use my code Policing Pips, you get 15% off. So if you're interested in coffee at all, delivered right to your door, freshly roasted on order, then head on over to daytradingcoffeeco.com and pick up yours today. Eventually, like I said, I mentioned it on a day-to-day basis. You can see it scrolling along the bottom of my screen. That's Day Trading Coffee Co. Use code Policing Pips for 15% off. We started this company for fueling traders. I didn't see that it was out there for everybody, so I wanted to be the one to provide it. I know traders love to drink coffee. They need that caffeination, they need that focus. I know I do. I know there's some people that don't, but I definitely do. I love coffee. I love everything about it. Just drink it nonstop, and I've been addicted since a wee lad. Currently shipping to the U.S. and Canada. It's a bit pricey to ship to Canada, so if you are going to order it, make it worthwhile. As we grow, we will try and cut shipping costs so we can ship worldwide. And also, like I said, we're trying to do a trader fund where a percentage of all of our profits we're going to donate to traders that are underfunded, try and do combines, eventually partner with brokerages and do that where we get funded cash accounts as well. So look forward to that in the future as this stream grows, as the company grows, as will the giveaways, as will that funding fund. So it's going to be something that I'm going to be pretty proud of. Hopefully in the next few years, where we're able to provide a lot of money to people who want to start their trading journey or just right there and just need that next little push to get over that hump. I just want to be that helpful part of the community and not somebody who's out here looking to grab money and run. I want to be a helpful part of this trading community where there's so much scamminess that does go on, right? That's why I set up my stream the way I have, where you can see everything on top, what account I'm actually trading, what my balance is, what my realize is, daily drawdown. This MLL, if you are confused, is the max loss limit. So that's what I cannot let my account balance go to as in the funded account. Once this number gets to zero, it never moves. So if I hit off, up to 2,000, it'll be at zero. And then if I get the account back down to zero, then that means I lost all my money and there is nothing left to trade, right? So we got to try and build this balance to as high as we possibly can, including withdrawals, right? So with Top Step, the withdrawal removes this balance but does not move this max drawdown. So you have to strategically kind of plan your withdrawals, especially based on your risk tolerance and what size you're trading. I would like to get this up to around 3 before I take my withdrawal, my first one. But that all depends on how I'm feeling that week when I do decide to make that withdrawal. Right now, we're just going to build it up till we can get this max drawdown to 0 and then go from there. About 25 more minutes left in the stream. We had a really good week. We stuck to our plans, our discipline. As the day goes on, I do adjust my plan. I am looking for other opportunities. This one would have been an excellent opportunity. I was probably about a couple seconds away from deciding I'm going to look to get an entry here. But I know my Friday problems, giving back a lot of profits from the week. So for me to have $1,000 week, the first week of this funded account, taking it slow, only executing on 6 trades, and having a couple break-even days is something that I kind of want to hang my hat on and just be able to build off of next week and just continue to come out here every day and do the same thing, right? Look for my setup, find my A+ setup, execute on it. If it doesn't work, get out of it. Look for that next one. Same deal every single day, right? I did that here. I talked about how my plan was to fade this overnight high. If it does come into here, we were talking about it down here, right? If we get into the overnight high, the plan was to either break above 208, come back down, give a secondary failure, a divergence of sorts, or if you go straight up, straight down, that next failure of that, probably looking to get into that as well. We didn't get that initially. We got that secondary push. The delta divergence was there. I saw a volume break of this. Once I saw this 77 hold like pretty firmly, you could see the VWAP holding on the S&Ps as well. We decided that we were going to cut this really quick, get the break even, get out, because I just didn't trust that breakdown. Obviously, you could see why. The other plan was if we did this move here, broke down, came into 77, that we were going to look for the break at 208 to go long. Obviously, we did not execute on that, and you could see the kind of move that we got on that push. It was 1 minute, 50 points, could have been in and out and done for the day, even more so, right? That was the second plan of what I thought was going to happen. Once I did this break even, I kind of just gave myself, I think people call it a shot clock or whatever. I just gave myself a couple minutes of just refocusing, and because of that, I may have missed this entry, but that's fine. I'm not going to FOMO in and try and catch other things and, chop myself up. In the past, I probably would have, and that's what's gotten me in trouble. So I want to just be better for myself and be able to execute according to plan. And if I feel that a tilt may come in or something like that, just there's no need to execute that next trade until you're back into that mental focus. And then the only other one I was considering was this one right here. We got to a key level of 281 3/4. On my other chart, it's 277. So that 277 level held. Then you got a lower high. You got the delta divergence in over here. We had the delta much lower than trying to break the highs. So the next push down, breaking through this trend line, was likely to rotate us back to this liquidity zone, which pretty much happened exactly how we talked it out prior to it happening. I just didn't quite get to the point where I wanted to pull the trigger on it, just based on today being sort of trendy and the retracement from yesterday's big impulse move down. That kind of was seemingly irrational, but who knows why it really occurred. Could it have been for positioning for today, for the NFP, better prices? Who knows? But for me, I didn't execute it. But that's the only other one I was really looking at. And at this point, the next 30 minutes, probably just going to be me talking, and that's about that. This might give you that volume break here. NVIDIA is pushing downside, so interesting divergence. The break of this, push up. Does it push up into that high area that I mentioned? I think that you get into that 360 range is probably maybe the top end of this move. You might wick above it, into that 80, but it might get up into there and chop around for the rest of the day, or it might not even get there. I just think that that's the highest end of this. Overall, the last 2 days we're up $45, $50, whatever. But it's all about the executions and the mental side of it. Like I said, I get myself into a lot of trouble if I'm just clicking buttons, getting into things. On a Friday, after making such really good executions, really good just patience on trying to do things according to my plan, I did not want to come into today and just start hammering buttons. I wanted to just provide value in other ways by talking through levels. I called out a couple different ones that could have been caught by other traders if you were listening or you were paying attention. Just because I don't execute doesn't mean you don't have to execute, or vice versa. If I don't execute doesn't mean you have to. I said that wrong. if I do execute, doesn't mean you have to, obviously, if it doesn't line up with your own plan. But as I talk through things, there are reasons to get in and get out for certain traders who have certain plans. So maybe my levels kind of coincide with what you're looking at, and a certain level break gives your strategy that extra layer of confidence. So that's why I want to be out here just kind of providing that over and over and over again as I see that coming through, right? So I did mention the break of 208, give us a volume push at least up into this area. It went pretty much level to level in a couple minutes, not a couple minutes, a couple seconds, right? Bang, right straight up. Kind of failed it. Then you rotate it back through it again. I said if we rotate through 227, then you probably get the push up to 281. What do you know? Broke through 227, right up to 281 and beyond. Then we got this divergence here, lower high at a key level. I said you probably, if you crack this trend line, you get down into this purple zone. Once again, another one. So if I was just out here executing, I'd probably be up pretty big. I just know for sure that I get my I'll get into some of these modes on a Friday where I just kind of need to, if I could sit on my hands, I'm better off as far as longer term, not doing it, but observing these things happen, observing them play out. I put them in my mental playbook. I have them there. So next time this shows up at this, maybe not this exact level, but at a level that I consider important, then this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to execute on this, and I'm going to take that to that next level, and then we'll go from there. And as we build this account up, you'll start to see maybe some of the B plus setups come into play. But until this buffer gets at least to 0 here, this number's got to get up to 2 before I start to add contracts, before I start to take my B plus setups as opposed to my A's. But why take anything less than my A plus is when they come in pretty much every single day. And having this fail today gives me even more confidence that next time it may play out, right? Because it's about an 87, I'll call it a 70%. I don't have an exact number because I don't actually statistically graph everything. I am discretionary. So as I mentioned, I said, this doesn't feel right today. We're cutting it. But there's days that the same exact pattern comes out and I'm like, all right, well, we could get a little bit further down. If VWAP is down here, there may be a little bit more room for this to kind of push and pull and give you that break. So it's not an exact science, but that confidence of taking it and then seeing the failure happen gives me that maybe this next time that it does do it, we actually get that full follow through. And it did happen on yesterday evening. I just wasn't here trading, right? Here's that exact same setup. The overnight high was here. We got the push up into the liquidity zone. Didn't quite break the high. Pushed up again. Once you failed that again, the delta divergence, I'm sure it was there. I didn't see exactly, so I'm not going to say yes or no, but that's the same side of setup, but it's just a little bit longer term. Once you broke through that high, you could have waited for either shorting off this purple zone or, based on that, or you could have even waited till you were down here. Obviously, it all played out. I would have never have caught that whole move, but you could have easily, if you did trail either candle by candle, you probably never get stopped out until you get close to VWAP. Then I probably get trailed out around VWAP based on this wick because I probably would have been here. You could have looked to re-enter based on certain heavinesses in the market. Once you get through 500, you could see that flush just never stopped, right? So, it played out yesterday. We did take a W on it 2 days ago. I mean, not 2 days ago, yesterday, right? That same setup played out yesterday, got a big push, broke. We ended up getting wicked out because we were just a touch too early on it. Then we took our actual play on it and actually got the win. So overall, let's see, Tesla's apparently rocking and rolling. Popped up to 165 off the low from 160. You can see not only do the levels of my futures play, but the levels that I've drawn up longer term of the equities that are the Mag 7 names are pretty spot on of late. You can see Microsoft held the low once it broke through. Now we're into that area there. Could look to target, as I mentioned, that 425 and up into that 427. Nvidia, same deal. We're butting up against that 277. Important. Breaking it could push us up into the pre-market levels from a couple days ago at 883 and up into that next yellow line. If it fails it, rotate back down to lows. Apple just staying right in between the two zones that I have there. So overall, very much so, the levels do play out. So just if you want to learn about levels or anything else, if anything, if it's not executions, if it's not, I'm not here to be a signal service. I'm here to be helpful and useful to your trading journey in other ways. If you want signal services, there's people that do that all the time. You could pay them a ton of money and be wrong because it's so hard to follow signals. You want to learn how to do this yourself and then just be a part of a good community. And that's what we have over there on Tradecaster. If you're on YouTube, head over to Tradecaster. Links in the chat, links in the bio. If you're on Tradecaster, good on you. Stay here. When we start to do some more volume in our chat and our stream views up to 50, I'm going to start giving away things every week. So the next giveaway is going to be about $100 or so worth of Day Trading Coffee Co. coffee, swag, mugs, shirts. I'm going to give away a nice little care package to one of our lucky viewers here on Tradecaster.com. So be a part of it or get left behind. Or don't, and then come by later and then be part of the next giveaway. The more the merrier. Invite your friends, invite your family, anybody who you want to learn to trade. This idea here of the break above 81 bullish, these levels are worth executing off of if you're going to be higher volume. Is there a good delta divergence here? Is this playing out? Lower high on delta, even further lower high. We are a standard deviation away from VWAP. A flush of 81 may give you another leg down, but I don't think so because, like I said, on Fridays it tends to trend. I think the highest we get is 360 today. If we wick 380, could be could happen, but I'm not really so convinced that that's how high up we get. I think 360 is probably the next best area for there to be interest, and then probably some sort of pullback down back below 340, kind of chop around some. I did mention though that with this break of this trend line crack here, where we did have that lower high, then the crack of the trend line, that this liquidity zone is probably the furthest you're going to pull back. Especially, like I said, on a trending Friday where Fridays tend to just keep kind of rocking and rolling to the high side. Like I just mentioned, I said I think 360 is probably the highest we do get before you start to get a rejection and a slight pullback. But you could wick to 380, and then if markets feel frisky like they did yesterday later in the day, you may recover this whole move just on some weird comment from a non-voting Fed member. Sorry about this cough. Alrighty. Next week, it's going to be a short week for me trading. Going to be here Monday through Wednesday. I potentially have training on Thursday morning. If I do, I may stream early before I head in. It depends on what time the training's at. I will keep you advised on Wednesday. And then Friday, I will be flying to New York City to do our Tradecaster meetup. So if you're in the tri-state area or want to fly up, or I wouldn't fly up for a couple-hour meeting, but if you do, good on you. We'll be up there having some meetings, but also doing the trader meetup over there at 230 Fifth Avenue on April 12th. From at least 5 to 7, I believe. I'm sure people will linger longer or not, but It'll be a few of our streamers and obviously members of the community that live in the area. I've been to 235th a couple times. It's a great place. Cool views, a great place to have conversation about trading, meet up with us. It'll be a nice little event. And then look out for big things to come with Tradecaster. Have some events lined up that Deck is planning out. And once we get more information on it, we'll blast it out to you so you can get some of that information as well. Yeah, I'm not going to be executing anything else the rest of the day here. I don't have any sort of plan for when price starts to grind and trend. That's not my thing. If I were to have executed on the long from the breakout of, the opening range trade, and this was, me just sitting in a long-term intraday swing, then maybe I would be still in this, but I doubt it, with these kind of pullbacks and whatnot. That's just not my style. I'm looking to get pieces of these little moves here. Like this one I was definitely interested in. I did not take it. This right here, I'm going to square it off. That is an excellent move here. You could profit off this on a high percentage basis. Key level is number 1. Lower high. You know what? I'm going to do it this way. The key level here, we had lower high here. We had lower high here. This was a wick off top with a high volume as we approached a somewhat key level, right? 300, 325. That was a 50% retracement mark. You got a lower high here. You had a delta divergence. You had a key level right here. Bang. So this whole setup here gives you the confidence. And then we had this trend line that I took off, but it cracked. We were here. That wasn't where it was. It was down here. It was this trend line there. This trend line right there was holding. I was noting that it was a little bit steep coming in. We got a little bit of an extension away from it as we approached back down to it. Rejected it once. Next breakthrough, you got the arrow marker here. And then you could have ended up shorting. And I mentioned the draw to a liquidity zone below was the actual target, right? So then that would have been your exit point would have been right around here. That's 40 points worth. If you could secure 40 points per trade on a consistent basis, and as your account grows and you size up, 40 points. You could do the math. I don't have to do it for you, but you could do it here. 40 points times 4 ticks per point times $5 per point gives you $800. It's quick math if you just do $20 a point, but I'm just showing you the power per tick. That's per contract, right? Now you size up and you could see how people have the ability to make pretty good money on little moves in the market, with your risk here only being very slight, right? If you're looking to break above here, you could have actually had your stop set tight, like above 88, 89. Like if you wanted to go 80 to 90 on your stop, you didn't have to go full above this swing high because of the way the breakdown happens. It's either going to go or it's not, and you could be wrong pretty quick. And then you can see how things like that kind of come back out. So these wicks probably, if they get broken, you're going to retrace back up maybe into these highs. But that's my strategy, risking only 10 points to make 40. Do the math there. That's a nice little 4-to-1 move there. So these are the types of moves that you want to look for. Also here, where we ended up taking our trade, it was the same type of setup, except we got a wick off top and a delta divergence, which gave this move some actual power. Shorting through 208 may have been the better idea. Obviously, you could see that push down happened. I'm looking to get through the overnight high. That's a key level for me. So I waited a little bit further on my confidence. You cost yourself 20 points there. However, or more, right? From 208 to 190, almost 20 points. But we look to get that there. You don't get the follow through. We're looking to get the view up. Didn't quite push through this 177, so we got out at even. And then this other final real idea that I had here, I drew this up not pre-market, but as we were approaching, pushing off of VWAP, I said this is the 208 break is where I wanted to be interested. I wanted to be interested right here. Oh, I really would like this to be a left arrow. I was interested there on the break of this, and I was looking to target right there. So these ideas do play out. I talked them through. So if you don't believe me, if you don't think that, if this is a hindsight move, then go back. I'm streaming live. I'm on YouTube. All my YouTube videos, every live stream is recorded. So go onto the YouTube, rewind it. You can go right back to the beginning of the session, start to look at where I was drawing my little squiggly lines, and you can see. And even after we made this trade and execute, I said because I got out here, this kind of gives more confidence to the break of the 208 trade. I just didn't take it. This is the one thing I do regret on the day. Not that I'm living in regrets. I'm just reflecting in hindsight that this was exactly what I was looking for. I planned it. I actually got stopped out of another A trade that ended up giving me more confidence in this to be an A trade, and I didn't take it, right? So just being ready to execute again is what I should have been doing here. If this wasn't Friday, I probably would have executed on it. But since it is a Friday, I tend to I get choppy on Friday. I get a little bit go, give money back kind of days. So my thought for today is if I take a loss, take an even, take a win, take a minute, give myself some time to kind of refocus in. And if I miss something because it happens, then so be it. It is what it is. There'll be another trade. Obviously, there was another one. I didn't take this one either, but I was calling it out. It just got too late in my thought process. It got a little bit far away from, where I want to be. This to me is more of A minus B plus setup because we were in a trend. We're pushed up past key levels. However, it did get back to a key level that I like here, that 281 and the 277 level. So if I really even wanted to wait for 277 to crack, then I would have been even, more convinced that this was going to go short. But overall, like I said, Friday kept me out of this one. Friday kept me out of that one. I entered on my A plus early morning delta divergence overnight level failed breakout play. So that's just my play for the day. If it doesn't play out, it doesn't play out. On a Friday, we secure $1,000 for the week. Maybe next week it'll be 2,000. Maybe the next week it'll be 5,000. Who knows? I'm not looking that far ahead. I'm looking day to day, and I just know that Fridays tend to chop me up some. So in order to avoid that, not that I'm sitting out, I'm still watching. I'm still calling out setups. I just want to be way more picky and get my mental level to a point where I can execute with a clear mind on the next sort of setup. And then once I get away from A plus setups on a Friday, I'm not going to take it. So an A or a B plus is not an A plus. This is an A plus for me, so I took it. This is A minus, B plus. It's probably right in that area. It's just too extended from where I wanted it to be. It was also close to a key level and ended up being a really nice move. But then also, like I said, the furthest you're going to pull back is probably this liquidity zone, and then you're going to push back up to higher ends. And 360 may be the highest you end up making it. 360 may wick off to 380, but I don't know if you're going to make it through that. But at the same time, after yesterday's big melt, you could just recover that entire move and be carrying on the rest of the day. So this also right here kind of broke that down pattern there. And then once you broke back above 81, now you're back to that next key level. So have your plan, have your ideas out there, be ready to execute. Maybe if it's not a Friday, maybe you're not looking to get out of here and be green on the week, then you could have executed on some of these. Just because moves happen doesn't mean trades happened, right? I've heard that. I'm going to give credit to, I think, Rake Trades. I'm not sure if that's who that was, but somebody on Instagram. But he said, just because moves happen doesn't mean that trades happened, right? For us, trades happen. That's how price moves. But as far as if a move happens, doesn't mean you missed your trade. It just means that a move happened, and you got to just look for your next A plus setup to be able to put the odds in your favor and then execute. If you can't put the odds in your favor, don't execute, because then you're just gambling. As Dekmar says, you want to be the casino, not the gambler, right? So the casino sets the odds in their favor. They may lose here and there, but they win long term, and that's what we're trying to do here. So I have about 9 minutes left in the stream. If anybody's got anything, let me know. Next week, like I said, we're doing the trader meetup, 230 Fifth Avenue. And then we're going to be doing something on the weekend, big meeting and whatnot. And I just want you to stay tuned for whatever announcements come out. I would love to meet you guys over in the city. Let me know if you're going to head over there. And like I said, next week will be at least Monday through Wednesday. I'm going to try and stream. If we do have training in the morning on Thursday at the day job, then I will either try and stream right before I leave, or if not at all. Depends on how late or early the training is going to be. And then come Friday, I'll be on an airplane headed up to New York City. So I'll be hopefully meeting up with everybody over there. If you're green for the week, let me know. If you're red for the week, let me know. Every week, we're just trying to build off these accounts, try and leverage these prop firms, but also at the same time, we're going to try and do our best with just executing properly. That's all I can do on a day-to-day basis, day in, day out. Come in here, look for my good setups, and then execute. Could have been up today after one trade and been done. Didn't get follow through. Could have executed this idea here that we talked through. Didn't. So be it. I'm going to try and delete these because I didn't trade that. Get rid of that trend line. Get rid of that box. Just cleaning up my charts for next week to set up. Let's see what happens up here at 360. That's the top end of the channel. But as I mentioned, we've been breaking out and kind of coming in and out of that channel for some time now. So it is sort of invalidated, but also at the same time kind of just gives a general region for where we're headed for the next few sessions or whatnot. So strong push to the upside, but a slow grind as well. So it's really nothing that's convincing to, execute. But if you're just like a patient, just you bull, then you could wait for every pullback and pop, pop, pop. As a streamer, if you will, I feel the need to execute a lot. When I had my accounts, when I first started this stream, I kind of burnt through some of my accounts and got a little bit pushy and forced in a lot of things that I wasn't doing prior to streaming. And so now that I'm back into that routine, back into the stream, getting back into what has made me profitable is by being patient and not over executing, not hammering buttons and not doing things that way. So I think that hopefully you're able to get some value out of me other than just seeing execution. My zones do play out pretty consistently. Like I mentioned, that 60 level is probably going to come into play here. You may wick off 80, but you may run into some resistance here. Five minutes left in the stream, 5 minutes left in the week. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to lock myself out of this account. No more trades. Locked out. Fantastic feature. I'm going to give this Top Step X all the credit in the world for this. On days where I've only made $22, I guarantee you after my stream, I would have gone over to this and been like, hey, maybe I could execute something. Maybe I could get something. With this button, I forced myself to lock myself out, and now there's no more opportunities to FOMO into anything. My stream is done. My trading day is done. My week is done. We finished the week up $1,063.20, and we only had 2 days, back-to-back days of $20 winners, right? So if you look at the daily stats, here we're at Monday through Friday. We traded every day this week. Only executed, it says 2. We only did 1 trade per day, except for yesterday we took 2. And today we took 1. So our win rate, they'll call it our win rate, is pretty decent. 83.33%. I would call these 2 days break even, but yesterday we had 1 loser and 1 winner, so that's really what brought us back to green here. Today we only had 1 break even, so I would give that a little bit of a break even rate. So it's a little bit skewed to slightly higher than what we're at. We're maybe closer to 75, 80% than that, but a break even is not a loser, so we'll take it. We locked ourselves out, as I mentioned. Great first week. We're going to go ahead and document that for the Instagram. If you are on Instagram, head over to Policing Pips. All of my accounts are exactly the same. So if you just go to Policing Pips on any platform, you'll find me. Oh, gotta go to the right account. I'm on the Coffee Co account. Nvidia broke. As I mentioned, it's probably going to run into 883, which it's at right now. They might run into resistance there. If not, it's going to slice through up to 892.23. And if that's the case, then like we just saw, 860 just got tagged. Oop, post, take a picture. That's me. I don't want my face. We want this. Oh, that's wrong. Let's do this. So we'll post it up there. As I mentioned, I stream every day, Monday through Friday, 8:30 a.m. Central Time until 11 o'clock Central Time. Friday, I normally get myself into some trouble, so I only executed this 1 trade that is normally my A+ type setup, where we're breaking failed breakout of overnight highs or overnight lows and rotate it back the other direction. Was looking to try and pull this down, maybe get one more leg to the downside. We're not able to break through 77. My other plan was to break through, if we didn't break 177 and rotate back up, to break through 208. That trade happened quicker. I was on more of a mental sabbatical there for a second and ended up missing out on that one. So overall, we had 1 break-even trade, and we called out 1, 2, and then if you consider this a trade, 3 decent-looking moves there that we talked through the whole time. If you wanted to go back and look, I only executed on that first one because Fridays I like to chop myself up. I did mention that we're going to run up to 60 potentially as the next area of pretty solid resistance. You may run into some chop up here. You may wick up into 80. Depending on what these equities do, if they start to catch more of a bid, Fridays do tend to trend. So we may just continue to trend on up all day. I would have been interested in a rotation from that 140 all the way up to right where we're at. So 140 is right here. So VWAP up to here is that channel that we've been in for a while. That's why I mentioned that this is a area of interest, right? But yesterday, that big impulsive move down could just get recovered, and then we're back to where we were for come Monday. So, as I mentioned, like I said, next week probably gonna be it's definitely a short streaming week because on Friday I'm traveling up to New York for our trader meetup. Monday through Wednesday we'll definitely be here. We're gonna be trading. I probably have the kids around here and there, so you'll get to see the boys as always. And then we're gonna just go day to day and see if we could build off of this great week of trading, of being patient, of executing our plan, and not FOMOing in after we maybe missed out on something or whatnot. So I know it seems like, hey, all right, you only made $22 and you had 3 good opportunities where you could have made actual entries and made good money on them without any heat. I'm more proud of my ability to not FOMO in. It's not that I was scared to execute. It's just that I was trying to stick to my AA plus stuff on a Friday and not give back a bunch of money and end the week strong, and then start off next week back square zero and see what we can do, and want to just be profitable week to week to week, be profitable month to month to month, and then at the end of the year be very proud of just coming in here every single day and executing the proper way and not necessarily worrying about the dollar amount, because if I execute properly, the dollars are going to follow. So I'm not too concerned with today's and yesterday's P&Ls, right? Green is green, and 5 straight green days, even if they're $20, they're better than being red, right? So capital preservation is what it's about. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, hit me up. Go to daytradingcoffeeco.com. Use your code POLICINGPIPS, and you'll get 15% off all of your orders. If you're on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe, do all that stuff. Head over to Tradecasters, set up your 7-day free trial, and join in the fun over there. When we hit off on 50 viewers, we're going to give away some care packages. And as we do that on a week-to-week basis, I'm going to start giving away, things pretty much weekly. I want to be interactive. I want to be productive, and I want to be helpful to everybody within the community. So if we could do that, then that'd be fantastic. And as we grow the stream, as will the giveaways, and as will the value that we could provide, right? I could do more. I could stream longer as more people view, right? It's going to take some time, and I'm going to be out here every single day. But until next week, I hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope you had a great, profitable green week. I know we did here. Small wins, build up, and then over time, good executions are going to come with some good follow through, and we'll end up making some pretty good profits here. So until next week, have a great weekend. I'll talk to everybody later.